So right down the road, right down here is where Little Chief was. Actually, is all through here. I just met a guy who lives here, and his whole family owns all this land, and he was talking about, you know, what used to be here, and lots of people used to live here 100 years ago. There was oil industry everywhere, all around here, and just recently there was, or more recently, there was a store, and it's now just a pile of bricks, or barely any bricks left. And but interesting, it was named after the creek, or the river that is right near here, the Little Chief River, Little Chief Creek, and had a life for a while. And the store that was here was built in the 1930s, and recently, like I said, crumbled down. So all that's left is a couple houses, pretty wide open. Carter 9 is kind of an unusual name for an old town. The reason it was called that was because it was the Carter Oil Company, and 9 was its numbered location within the township, and so Carter 9. And had a pretty brief life. 1928 to 1945 was the post office, and it was abandoned by the 1950s. It was a company town where people would live and work for the oil company, and they would live in houses provided by the oil company, and sometimes you would go to the local store and it would just be deducted from your paycheck. But they did have a school, and up to like 300 houses. And then pretty quickly after the oil boom subsided in this area, the people that were living here moved over to nearby Scheidler. There's not much to see here, except there are some old shelters, quite a few, several of them, and then some kind of remnants of sidewalks, I think, at least. Hard to find online information about Carter 9. We're here in the town of Foraker, and it's actually still a town. It's an incorporated town with 18 people. When I did my smallest towns in Oklahoma video, it just barely missed it. So I've been wanting to come here. It's kind of interesting because there really aren't that many old buildings to speak of. There's some nice houses. You can see where people live. There's a church behind me. But other than that, there's not too much in the way of history. There is an old cemetery that's really nice. The cemetery is a great place to go and check out while you're here. But the town was started in the early 1900s, and it was a farming and ranching town that grew to like 500 people. The railroad came through, and that really helped. And then oil was discovered, and this population skyrocketed about 2000. Even though the population figures didn't have 2000, it was just a short time. It was in between censuses, and so population went up, and then oil boom went down, and people moved away, and then it became another, back to what it originally was, kind of an agricultural area. It's very out here down the dirt roads, and so certainly remote, and not a lot of people are going to come visit. There's not a lot of jobs out here except for big ranches. So, but beautiful area, and glad I finally made it. Our final stop of the day is Grainola, Oklahoma. We're not too far from the border with Kansas, and this is the old school, and you can see right on into the school, and pretty interesting to see the crumbling from the inside. Usually you just see it from the outside. But Grainola was started in the early 1900s, about when the state of Oklahoma officially became a state, and it was a railroad came through here, and the town grew nearly 500 people. The official census began around 1930, and the population had already gone down to around 200, and just continued to get smaller and smaller. Interestingly enough, the population has been 31 for the last 3 consecutive censuses, and I wonder if it's the same 31 people since since the year 2000. So anyways, but besides the school, there's not a whole lot. There's a couple old buildings, but mostly the school is the main thing to see.